On the stage walks Yosef. Yosef is going to dominate in his personality the next few parashot. As Yosef is casted into the pit, pulled out, sold into slavery, finds himself in Egypt, and as the turn of events occur, he finds himself as the supreme ruler of all of Egypt, finding his brothers, putting them to the great test, and eventually the reunification of the family, and the setting of the stage for the emergence of Am Yisrael. But yet, before we could progress in that direction, I would like to take a quick look at a story within a story. Because as Yosef dominates the parashot, there is a small story that really sets the stage for a much greater picture in terms of the future leadership of the Jewish people. This is the story of Yehuda. Yehuda finds himself in a precarious situation. After the sale of his brother, Yehuda is called to task by his brothers. The Midrash fills in the gaps for us and says that Yehuda was greatly criticized. Because after all, if you pay careful attention during the course of the sale, Yehuda is the one that says, Lechu v'nimkerenu la'Yishmaelim. Go ahead, my brothers, let us sell him to the Yishmaelites. In fact, and he continues to say, V'yadeinu lo tibo, and our hands will not be directly involved in his murder. But Yehuda at this stage has a peculiar way of dealing with dealing out assignments to other people. Yehuda says, Go, my brothers, let us sell him. Of course, that means that Yehuda himself will not get his hands dirty. You see, after the sale, when Reuven is already bounced out of the position of leadership, Shimon and Levi, the second and third son, were bounced out of the leadership because of their conduct with the city of Shechem. Yehuda finds himself as appointed by his father as the leader of his brothers. The disappearance of Yosef from the scene leaves him as the absolute ruler with no competition. This role of leadership is one that Yehuda does not want. And when his brothers criticize him for not being able to take a more appropriate, constructive role in the debate over what to do with Yosef, Yehuda chooses to simply leave. Vayered Yehuda me'alechav. Yehuda leaves the family. We don't pay attention much to how long he was gone for, but note that Yehuda goes, not only leaves to live amongst Gentiles, but he marries a Canaanite wife and gives birth to 3 children. These children grow up, and he marries them off. He marries his son, his firstborn, to Tamar, and he dies. He marries his second son, and he dies as well. And then he stalls with Shelah, his third son, and does not give him to this woman to whom he attributes the death of his children, albeit that it was their own wicked behavior that led to their death. During all those years, Yehuda is not with his father and his brothers. He found himself deteriorating spiritually, morally, and psychologically, distancing himself from his family and the responsibilities that he was supposed to hold. How far deep does Yehuda find himself rolling into despair? Well, a small little nuance, which is often missed in the storyline, is when Yehuda finds himself looking for a woman on the side of the road, and he finds Tamar, who is in disguise. And in order to have an intimate moment with her, he promises to pay her, but he needs to leave a collateral. What collateral does Yehuda leave for Tamar? He leaves to her Hamateh, Hachotemet, V'Haptilim. What are these artifacts that he leaves behind that he is so desperate later on to find? And in fact, these are the artifacts that Tamar keeps hidden until that critical moment when she was being taken out to be put to death for becoming impregnated, while she was supposed to be waiting for the third son, be married to him. These artifacts, tell us the Midrash, these mateh, the chotemet ptilim, are no arbitrary artifacts. These are the artifacts that Yaakov handed down to Yehuda to symbolize his role as the leader of the brothers. This mateh, yes, it is the same famous mateh, the same staff that was passed on from generation to generation, all the way from Adam HaRishon. This was supposed to be the symbol of pride, the symbol of destiny, of purpose. And yet Yehuda used it as nothing more than collateral for a whore. Yes, this is how far down Yehuda finds himself, rolling into despair. And then Yehuda, at one critical moment, at that moment when she presents that mateh and says, Hakerna! Notice, Yehuda, who does this truly belong to? Yehuda finally awakens himself and realizes that true leadership is defined by being able to take responsibility, regardless of the embarrassment, regardless of the cost. And Yehuda indeed steps up to the plate and says, indeed, tzadka mimeni, she is correct, she is righteous. I was the one that was wrong. And at that moment, Yehuda is ready to step up and assume the true role of leadership. Because leadership is defined not just by how you lead when it's easy, but rather how you are willing to step up and recognize your mistakes and correct them and take responsibility for the mistakes that you make. From this point on, Yehuda is ready to lead his brothers. And in fact, he reaches the ultimate position of leadership in just a short while, when he will be able to stand in 2 more weeks in front of Yosef and say, Anochi a'arvenu miyadecha, I will put my own self instead of Binyamin. You could keep me as a slave as long as you free my younger brother, to whom I promised to protect and return him back home. Oh, if only we could be blessed today with such powerful leaders. Yehuda and Yosef become the leaders that are supposed to symbolize for us what we long for in Am Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom.